everybody, and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news. We'll be talking about Bruno Fernandes and a big transfer delay. A lot of people saying it's not going to happen. I still say it's going to happen, but there's definitely going to be a delay. We'll be talking about that as well. Also, as predicted, as many of you said, the done deal talks about Harry Maguire last night appear to be bullshit. We'll be talking about that as well. Also, just want to give a big shout out to Flex and Josh. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning in China. They have been found. There wasn't a vlog today, and people were like, where's their vlog? They've got problems with China. Not. We haven't got any problems with China. We don't want to start anything. But they've had problems in China with the Wi-Fi and everything like that because YouTube's banned and all that jazz. But they're getting there. So we'll have a vlog up for you tomorrow with those two. So shout out for them as well. Also a bit of controversy about Alexis Sanchez and Gareth Bale. Like Gareth Bale looks like China want him. So a lot of United fans have been saying Alexis Sanchez should go to China. And I said there's not much chance of that because they don't like dogs. People thought I was calling Alexis Sanchez a dog. I was talking about Alexis Sanchez and his dogs. And I was being serious for once. Like, Alexis Sanchez to China would be perfect because they would pay loads of money. But they don't really... Isn't there some horrible thing I've seen on social media before? In China, they have this day, can't remember what it's called, where they basically kill a load of dogs. And they eat dogs. So I don't think Alexis Sanchez is going to go to China with his couple of golden retrievers for any price, to be honest, because he's a dog lover. So I'm serious about that. I don't think, as a dog lover, would you go to China? I'm sure there are some people who like dogs over there, but it might put him off. I don't know. Or maybe I'm talking about something I'm not really fully aware of. But from what we get rammed downers in the Western world, I get the perception that Chinese people don't like dogs as much as we do. But maybe I'm wrong on that. But let's go for... let's start off with Bruno Fernandes then. There is a development on this. It's not just Portuguese paper talk. It's directly from the Sporting president, who actually was cornered for some comments about Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United on the plane today. And he basically... Well, look. The reason there's a delay for Manchester United signing Bruno Fernandes, and it's not happening anytime soon, is because he's on the plane to America. He's on the plane to America for Sporting Lisbon's US tour. So we ain't signing a player who's jumping... if there was any immediacy to that deal, do you think he'd fly to America with Sporting Lisbon? There's no immediacy with the Bruno Fernandes deal. We hoped there might be something this week, but there isn't, because he's on the plane to New York to play... He's going to play Liverpool. I mean, it's great, isn't it? There you go. We have been waiting to sign Bruno Fernandes all summer. There's been talk of Liverpool. There were even favourites to sign him at some point. Where's Bruno Fernandes on his way to? He's on a plane to America to play Liverpool. I mean, it's just perfect, isn't it? Absolutely perfect nightmare scenario there. But I still retain confidence that we will sign him. But there you go. Chinese people do eat dogs. I've seen it. It is eaten. Not all. God, not all. Look. A lot of English people are vegetarian. You can't say everybody eats beef because there's vegetarians out there. But there's a different culture in China in their approach to dogs as there is to probably in England. There is. I've seen programmes on it. I'm sure it was Louis Theroux or something like that. Anyway, they do like to eat dogs, says Daniel Rook. Some of them do, yeah. I tell you what. Welcome to the real world here. Like, if people want to eat dogs, it's up to them, innit? It's not illegal in their country, is it? In Europe... Cover your ears if you like old Black Beauty and stuff like that. In Europe, they're partial to a bit of horse. They eat horse. They quite like it, So, apparently some takeaways have got cat in it. No, that's too far. Anyway, K China says, hi Mark, hi everybody, glad to watch the show live. But let's get back to Bruno Fernandes. So he's on the plane to America to play for Sporting Lisbon against Liverpool on Wednesday. There's good and bad news because they're only playing one game in America. They've got a game against Valencia in Lisbon on Saturday, so I presume they fly in, play the game, fly out. What I would do, I'm going to get somebody in New York to be a bodyguard for Bruno Fernandes, and if Klopp comes anywhere near him, just shove him over, shove him in the face. That Liverpool fans will spend all day on Twitter saying what a foul that was. I mean, did you see that? I can't believe the hypocrisy of Liverpool fans here. And I get on with some Liverpool fans now, but that tackle last night that I've seen on social media, we should be banned, this, that and the other. The one on Van Dijk did on Mertens last season for Napoli. But the worst one of that is that one, Kuyt, or as I spell it, Kunt, did on Phil Neville. That was a disgrace. So, you know, it was a bad tackle. He deserved to get sent off, but let's not make out he bloody nearly killed him or something like that. That was Ashley Williams on Van P, wasn't it? But look, the interesting thing about what Bruno Fernandes, he's on the plane to America, like I say, but the most important thing was what his president said. Sporting Lisbon president said. He was cornered by some journalists, and he basically said this, that the president said, I've heard about a few bids. I've heard about 55 million to 62 million for that. He doesn't leave. So that was in relation to a bit of a story I think we talked about this morning about Manchester United potentially signing him for 55 million euro or 62 million euro. President absolutely saying that that's not going to happen. He will not sell him for that price, which is fine, because 62 million is about 57 million. So just pay 65. Just pay 60 million for Bruno Fernandes. I can't say this enough. Manchester United. We are going to be taking your calls, by the way. I will talk to you about that in a minute. But just go and pay the 60 million he's worth. He's worth 60 million. I don't know why I'm going so high pitch, but he's worth 60 million. He is. I'll argue this with anybody. He's worth 60 million. João Felix has just gone for 100 million. He's worth 60 million. Just pay the bloody money. Get the deal done, because it's getting irritating now. It's getting irritating now with Manchester United and these transfer deals. And what in relation to Harry Maguire, the Leicestershire Evening News are basically saying that the Maguire talks are not as advanced as were reported yesterday. The 80 million fee is wrong. That's not what has been agreed. And that there's a pre-season friendly for Leicester tomorrow night that Harry Maguire will probably play in again. So, you know, this... Look, I'm not going to change where I was yesterday. I'm not as positive as I was last night, because the week has started and United are still doing sod all. But I do still believe, because we have to believe, that these deals will get done. But is there any momentum? Is there any movement? It doesn't feel like there is, does there? It doesn't. It really doesn't. And it goes back to what I said before. United very rarely do business when they're on tour. And I don't know why that is, but we don't. And it doesn't look like we're any nearer to doing any business at the moment. I still do think we will sign Maguire and Bruno Fernandes, because I've been told it so many times that I just have to believe it until it doesn't happen. But I still do think we're going to sign those two players. But are we close to doing it? Doesn't appear to be that at the moment, does it? And just on the transfer thing, because there's been some breaking news in the last hour or so that Nicky Butt has been promoted or appointed as the head of first team development. And obviously, congratulations to Nicky Butt. Nothing against him. Fantastic servant of the club, part of class of '92. I ain't got any problem with that, but it specifically says that as in his role, he will report directly to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So that is not a director of football. It is not a sporting director. A director of football or a sporting director doesn't report to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He doesn't report to Ed Woodward. He is an independent person who collectively, they all have the same role and they all come together and discuss things, but the director of football oversees recruitment and other matters. So Nicky Butt's not in that role, or if he is, it's a very watered down appointment of that role, because he reports directly to Solskjaer. A director of football would not report to the football manager. He would talk down to them in many ways, because he would be like, I've looked at these sort of players, what do you think? So, and that's why I'm a little bit annoyed, because I think we are in the midst of this transfer window again, and I think we can get out of it with some positivity, but nothing will swerve us or Ollie or anybody from the fact that this has not been a very good transfer window. Regardless of whether we get the players out that we need, we've not done well in it. We've not moved quick enough. We've done typically what we do every year. We've been slow, and that is because we don't have a director of football. And why do we keep talking about a director of football? Because Ed Woodward mentioned it. I think he mentioned it on a shareholder call with the New York office, but he certainly mentioned it a couple of times about a director of football. It was mentioned about this time last year, because I remember Mourinho apparently didn't like it. Then it was mentioned around November time. Then it was mentioned again at the start of the year. And it's Ed Woodward mentioning it every time. And here we are in bloody July, still no director of football, sat here with blood pressure going through the sodding roof again, because we're frustrated to shit with this transfer window. So, well done to Nicky Butt, but where's the bloody director of football? And again, it's another appointment that you know why Nicky Butt's been announced today? To fill some bloody news, to try and make you move away from transfers and go, hey, Nicky Butt, first team, in charge of first team development, Nicky, yay, go, Nicky, you're so fine, you're so blind, you know my mind, hey, Nicky, no, Nicky, I'm going to actually focus on transfers. Well done, high five, fist pump, but I'm going to keep my view here. And that's what United keep doing. They keep trickling out these contract renewals, these appointments that have got sod all to do with what we're meant to be doing, which is the transfer window. Why can't they announce Nicky Butt in August? Why can't that be done in August? De Gea will get back next week and they'll announce that. Oh, that'll fill another day. Announce it in bloody August. It's the transfer window. Do you think we're stupid? You should be on that. And I think Nicky Butt's a great appointment. He's done very, very well in the short time he's been at the club. But it's not news. It's not news for now. It isn't. George Broadway says, did you know the last time a United player scored a hat-trick was in 2011 by Robin van Persie? You think one of our forwards will step up their game, finally score 3 in 1 for the first time in 8 years? George, that's a very good stat. There is another one as well. I don't think we've scored more than 4 goals many times in the last 6 years, where I think teams like Liverpool and City have done it, and even Spurs have done it loads of times. We don't score goals many, but we've got a different manager now with a different approach, so hopefully we can get a hat-trick coming up soon. Bruno Fernandes update, Harry Maguire update, and look, what I would say, just going back to, I've just took a couple of notes here that I certainly want to bring in, that with regards to Bruno Fernandes, there has been no bids. And I've said this so many times, there has been no bids for Bruno Fernandes, because when a bid gets rejected, obviously Sporting Lisbon have got to pay Bruno Fernandes £5 million, and they don't want to do that. And for the same reason, they don't want a bidding war either. You know, if Liverpool and Man United and PSG did want him, they wouldn't want 3 separate bids going in, because they're going to have to pay $5 million for the 2 they reject, etc. So I think that there won't ever be a bid for Bruno Fernandes until Sporting Lisbon bid this, we'll accept it sort of thing. I still think it's going to happen, but I just think it's a bit of a while off happening. Just before we start taking some of your calls as well, Juan Mata has come out speaking about Paul Pogba. I've seen a lot of people like Rants, who loves Pogba, saying stuff today, talking about virus, etc. Because it's always easy to be quite smug when the news goes your way, doesn't it? I'm not just talking about Rants here. So basically, Juan Mata has come out and said that Paul Pogba's a great player. They want him to stay at the club with De Gea because Pogba brings everyone together. And then all the Pogba fans have come out saying, I thought he was a virus. They're being sarcastic. They're being smug. I like Pogba, by the way. I don't like him as much as some people do, and I certainly don't dislike him like some people do. I want Pogba to stay now because I don't think we've got time to do anything about it. I don't know whether Pogba wants to stay. I don't think he does, but can he get the move he wants? I do want him to stay. I don't want him to sign a new contract, though, because I don't think you deserve a new contract when you want to leave the club and you say you want to leave the club. But I certainly think we need him to stay for another year and help the club out. As for whether he's a virus or not, I always felt that was a little bit unfair from Mourinho. I think the issue with Pogba that's levelled at him and why some United fans don't like him is just the inconsistency on a football pitch. And, you can show me little screenshots of how many goals and assists he got last year, and I'll invite you around to the pub and we'll watch Huddersfield and Cardiff, and I'll say, what did Pogba do in those 2 games? Shove your stats up your arse. What did Pogba do against Cardiff and Huddersfield? Nothing. What did he do against Everton when we got smashed? Nothing. So, that's the issue with Pogba, isn't it? Brilliant on his day, massively inconsistent in a United shirt. So, whatever about him wanting to leave, I don't think hopefully he won't leave now. Whatever about Juan Mata saying he wants him to stay, I mean, to be honest, I would have got rid of Mata this summer anyway. Harsh but fair. I'm sorry, I love Mata, but he should have gone. And so, look, yeah, Pogba staying's great news for us, because if he goes, we've just got nobody of that quality. But he's got to become more consistent in the United shirt, and I think that was always a relevant point. Need to stop some shit. Ruth Meyer says we need to ship some of the deadwood out. We've got a super chat coming in from TJ Smith. He says, we really need to get a move on. We could easily get Bruno and Maguire done in 1 week. This is becoming more frustrating by the day. Can I just clarify that to everybody as well? Because TJ Smith makes a great point. Can I just say this? Manchester United want to sign Bruno Fernandes and they want to sign Harry Maguire. You can believe they don't. Of course, it's your personal opinion. You can believe they don't. But it's facts. Like, all the credible journalists know that Manchester United and Solskjaer like Bruno Fernandes. And all the credible journalists have said that Manchester United put a £70 million bid for Harry Maguire a couple of weeks ago. We want to sign those players. Those players want to come to Manchester United. Sporting Lisbon's president actually said at the airport as well, if Bruno Fernandes leaves, we will bring quality players in. If he leaves. So they're expecting him to leave. He's not for sale. They know he's there for sale. They just want a price. Bruno Fernandes wants to come to United. Sporting Lisbon want to sell him to Manchester United. Harry Maguire wants to come to Manchester United. Leicester will sell him to Manchester United if they pay the right price. And there endeth the lesson. These players want to come to our club. Our manager wants these players. The fan base want these players. The clubs will sell them to us. The only thing stopping these deals, and get it into your head if you haven't realised it yet, but I think most of you have, the only reason they've not signed for Manchester United is the same reason that Perisic didn't come to United 2 years ago. It's because our board, whoever you want to blame, won't pay the asking price. They are trying to get it for what they perceive to be the value of those players. And how do they know the value of a player when they're former bank managers and they're not football people? I'll tell you, as somebody who's watched football for over 30 years, that Bruno Fernandes is worth 60 million in this market. And I'll tell you that Harry Maguire in this market is worth 75 to 80 million pounds. You might not like it, you might not want to part with that money, but there is reams of evidence to say that they're worth that money. And if United paid it, we'd have those players. That is the only reason they're not United players, is because our board won't pay the price because they don't think it's right. And that is why it's not happening. It's as simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. Rio Mia says, Bruno for 3 weeks, garnish the plate, salt, pepper, gravy, sit down, ready to eat for Liverpool to come by and steal the plate. We need to act fast. Well, you know, I've always said this. If Bruno, I know United want Bruno Fernandes. I know Solskjaer wants Bruno Fernandes. I know we've scouted him all year. I know what's been going on with Bruno Fernandes. If we don't get him, there's only one person to, well, there's whoever's on the board in charge of transfers is to blame. And that's what it'll be. That's what it'll be. And we can come out and deny that we were never in for him, but that's total bollocks. We are in for him. Surjit Daz says, hey Mark, thanks for the awesome show. I still believe Koulibaly is a better bet than Maguire. We need Bruno. Your thoughts? Yes, Koulibaly would be the ideal centre-back, but United are just not in it for him, are they? Imagine if Ed Woodward was in charge of Van Dijk deal, he would still be at Southampton, says James Aaron. It's a very good point from James. We never, ever, ever would have paid 75 million for Van Dijk. We wouldn't have done it. You're right. Never, ever would have done it. Because you know why we wouldn't have done it? There's two reasons. It's not just the money, it's the scouting. Liverpool actually have a scouting structure at their club, much the same as Man City. Your director of football, whatever you want to call it, they have a structure above Klopp between the owners that we don't have. So they would have gone, Van Dijk's worth 75 million because of this, this and this. Solskjaer would say, Van Dijk is a player we need, he's a really good player. And Woodward would go, yeah, we're not playing 75 million though, because he wouldn't understand why he's worth 75 million. He wouldn't understand the risk and the reward against it. And you're spot on, Mark. The board think we, the supporters, are stupid or something, says Patrick Kinch. A bit of me wants United to lose on Thursday so the board can see the problems that we have, says AW415H. Regardless of whether we beat Spurs or lose to Spurs, that shouldn't be something we want to happen to make the club kick itself up the backside. But yeah, you know, you're probably right. We have got good scouts, says Gabriel Medina, but we've just got a rubbish board. Well, that's it. You know, you can have all the good advice, and there are ex-scouts who've said that they fed the information in about players years before they came good, and United ignored it. So, yeah, you know. Surely Fernandes wants to come to Anfield, says Rabadam. Yeah, but you're not in for him, are you? Liverpool aren't in for Bruno Fernandes. So that can change. Of course it could. He might score a hat-trick on Wednesday and they go, there's a check. But I think Bruno Fernandes probably would go to Liverpool ahead of United. He certainly would go to City ahead of United because they're better options for him. But at the moment, United's a very attractive option for him. I'm not going to bullshit about that. Pogba and Bruno would be a great duo in the midfield, says D. Harlem. They really, really would. They're making money for this club, so they are in the best position to make a good deal out of it, says Chatna Rolka. I don't really get what you're on about. We're signing nobody else, says Happy Rico, the negative person. And Craig Barnes says he's a fan of the left eyebrow. Right, we're going to take some of your calls. The call in is via Discord. So the link is in the video description for Discord. I will talk you through how to use that. Let me see if I can do it, actually. So the Discord page is up on the screen for you there. So how it works is if you go in through Discord and you've never used it before, basically you'll have this thing down the left that just looks a big mess. But all these things here are places you can go and talk about transfers, like people are talking about transfers there. It's like a chat room, basically a chat room. You've got United News, Match Day, General. There's over 5,000 people in this, so sometimes it's really busy, sometimes it's not. You've got the lounge where people talk about gaming and all that sort of stuff. But then if you keep going down, you've got the waiting room, the call-in queues, and if you go into the call-in queues, you will get people in
Mark,
those calling queues.
Mark.
Yeah, they're all shouting my name. You see. They're all shouting my name. You see, because they're all in the chat groups, and that's not just open when we do a live call in. That is open 24/7, 7 days a week. So you could go in there at 3 o'clock in the morning your time, and there might be people in the calling queues who are just chatting about United all around the world, and we do get people who've made really good friends doing that. So the link is in the video description for that. I'm in the call-in queue, so I'm waiting to take some calls now. So we'll start getting some calls on, see what people have got to say. Sharash Das says, Mark, no manager can succeed unless someone billionaire buys us and kicks Woodward and the Glazers out. Your thoughts? There was a bit of banter there with the Mark thing. They knew I was going to go in, didn't they? But look, United could be a really, really good club. We really could be a good club if we brought the right sort of people in. Okay, I've pulled somebody in. Hello, you're live on the United Stand.
Yes,
Hey.
Mark. What's the topic? I didn't have anything in mind.
You don't have anything in mind? You've come on a call in and you've got nothing to say. Right, I'll chuck a topic at you. What do you think about Manchester United's transfer window? What we've got left then? 2.5 weeks. Who are we going to sign, or do you think we're not going to sign anyone?
I think the way things are looking, I don't see any more transfers happening. Maguire, I think Leicester City, they're asking for too much, and I don't think the board are willing to pay that much. And Bruno Fernandes, I think Bruno Fernandes might happen, actually. I think he's more likely than Maguire, because I don't see Bruno Fernandes staying at the club he is at now. I don't see it happening. He has to move to a bigger club, and I think it will be a good signing. But overall, the transfer window, I think it's been a fail. It's been a bad transfer window.
I agree. I think it's been a bad transfer window so far, but I do think they'll rescue it. And look, you know what? I'm happy to sit here on August the 8th when the transfer window closes, and if we haven't signed anybody, I'll say, look, I've been mugged off. I've been fooled. They haven't done it, but I really, really do think they will. All right, then I'll chuck you another question as well. Paul Pogba. Where do you sit on the Paul Pogba situation? 1, do you think he'll be here? 2, do you think he'll be here for the long term? I thought I heard it drop off. This is a bit of a pain when it does this. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mark. You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. What do you want to talk about?
I think I was on last week, and I was talking about player perceptions and what people are expecting. How I was happy with the profile of the players. I think it's another week on, and I was getting disappointed that we haven't moved any further. But yeah, I'm still happy where we are. But really, I just want to get this Maguire one done. I think the Maguire one really changes. It makes it become from a really bad window to a really good window, because we might not get that CDM or we might not get the midfielder, but at least then you've got Maguire who can actually bring the ball into midfield. So you can kind of counteract it in one way, and maybe next season or the next window can go for midfield option. This isn't going to be a short-term fix. It's definitely going to be like a 2, 3, 4 window process.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but you know what? I've got to be honest. If we only sign Harry Maguire, I will still be very angry on August the 8th, because that midfield, and you're right, it is going to take some time, but you can't let Herrera go and then just have Matic, Pereira, Fred, McTominay and Pogba as your midfield. You've got to bring... He's got to bring another midfielder, and it's just not strong enough.
Definitely. And especially now, we put Martial in the middle, so we had Rashford on the left. It looks... even Greenwood, if you bring Greenwood into the equation now, on the right, you've got these dynamic forwards. You do wonder, are they playing as forwards? Who's actually gluing all this together? Who's doing the passing? I know Pogba does it from deep, but maybe someone a bit closer amongst themselves. So Gomez, it's a bit probably too early for him. Mata, we know, obviously hasn't got the legs, but that creative player, we definitely need a creative player. Gomez actually would be really nice. Think about where this team could be in 4 years, all around a similar age group. There's definitely sort of optimism. There's definitely some excitement moving on. But yeah, from where we were last season, and what we should really for next, over the summer, we're definitely.
I'd agree with you on that because there is, we were talking about this last night. We spoke about it after the game on Saturday. There is reason for positivity around Manchester United because of the youth that we're using in the way that we're playing. And also, if anybody's noticed in the media today, a lot of the players, there was an article by James Ducker in the Telegraph statistically talking about the change in how much more fitness work United have done. I think it's like 40% more than what they'd done under Mourinho this time last year.
You can definitely see the intensity, can't you? And like the directness. We're playing on the front foot. I was one of these people who were a bit concerned that, Ollie seemed to be saying, yeah, we're going to play forward, we're going to play fast, but that just seemed a bit too easy to say. How's that actually going to work? What's the pressing style going to, how are you going to do it? But just by applying that ethos, it's so infectious, and now everyone seems to be doing it. I was impressed with Fred. He came on and he was getting Chong was like, he's snapping at the heels. It does seem to rub off on players. If you're all doing it as a collective, it definitely does improve. We were all saying Lukaku sticks out like a sore thumb. Well, it's actually even worse now. There's no way Lukaku.
No, he would be really, really poor in that system. You're breaking up a little bit, mate, so I'll end the call there. But thanks for calling in, and really good points. Cheers, again.
Mate. Thank you. Nice
Cheers,
one.
mate. And I think that is that sort of fits it. I don't want to talk about transfers too much because I know we'll all get depressed. But when we came into this transfer window, many of us were speaking about the profile of the sort of player that will suit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He is an inexperienced manager. That's a fact. He's a young manager. So do you give him people like Gareth Bale, who is a big personality, who's achieved a lot in the game and could be a bit of a prima donna, or do you give him players that are going to grow with him? The Wan-Bissakas, the Daniel James, hopefully the Bruno Fernandes type of player. And that's what Solskjaer will get the better out of. And that's why people like Gomez, Chong, Greenwood, McTominay, Pereira, they're responding better than most players in the squad to the way Ollie wants to play, as is Wan-Bissaka and a few others, because they're players that are on the journey for their career and they love playing for this club and they're taking on board everything Ollie's saying and they're following it. And that's why that last 20 minutes against Inter Milan, people like McTominay, Fred, Pereira, Chong, Greenwood stood out more than a Lingard, Mata, Matic did in the first half, because they're hungry and they want to achieve it, and also they're totally in awe of the manager. They respect the manager, they want to achieve with the manager, they want to grow with the manager, and now those are the sort of players that Ollie needs to surround himself with. Very important that he does that. The worst thing we could do for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is go and sign people like Perisic, Rakitic, Bale, people who've got loads of experience, have played for loads of managers and might look at Ollie and go, well, what do you know? You're brand new. George Ramos says, Mark, I think our next captain should be De Gea. We haven't had a leader since Zlatan. De Gea has got what it takes to be a captain, as he's been there for a long time. De Gea for me ticks everything. I read that today about that as well, George. Apparently De Gea would like to be captain of Manchester United. I can't remember where I read it. There was 5 candidates: De Gea, Pogba, Mata, Smalling and Young. And I said, well, Mata, Jones and Smalling can get in the bin, because the only thing they need to focus on, they need to 100% focus on even trying to get on the bench, let alone the bloody the pitch. So Pogba or De Gea for me, if that's the 5 to pick from. And for me, it's got to be De Gea, because I still don't trust that Pogba wants to be here. So De Gea would be the captain for me, but I don't necessarily think a goalkeeper should be captain anyway. Pogba would be the ideal, but I just don't think Pogba's not shown the consistency. Even if Pogba was here even if Pogba was really happy here, I still don't think I'd be happy with him being captain, because he hasn't been consistent enough yet. Disquazi Loretta says, if we have to choose one player to sign this summer, who will it be, Bruno or Maguire? I'll put that to the live comments. Who would, if you've got one signing, Bruno or Maguire, which would you go for? Jamie Johnson says, if you could ask Ed Woodward 3 questions in a one-on-one interview, what would they be? I just need one. I'd say one question for me with Ed Woodward would be, who's in charge of the transfers and negotiations? And then I'd get my further 2 questions from that. I just want an honest answer. Who is in charge of the transfers and negotiations? Because if he said it's me and another guy who've got nothing to do with football, I'd say, well, that's your problem. Daniel Tarrant says we should sign Rooney, Mark. Yeah, let's bring Zlatan back as well. Right, the vast majority of the live comments are saying Bruno. Yeah, you're proper United standards. Yeah, I'd go Bruno. I think midfield is more important than any other position for United right now for us to improve. So I would agree with you on that. Let's see if we can get Pankaj on. Hello, Pankaj. Can you hear me? Hello. You're very quiet. Shout, Pankaj. How you doing? All right.
Yeah, finally got on. Yeah,
what do you want to talk about, mate?
Hello.
I don't know. Either he's quiet or we couldn't hear him. Right, let's pull somebody else in. Alec, can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Good.
What do you want to talk about?
So what? No topic of discussion tonight?
Well, I can throw some topics of discussion at you. I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is most people are just interested in this transfer window at the moment. So, I'll tell you what. I'll ask you a question. If you had the choice between Harry Maguire and Toby Alderweireld, who would you go with?
I mean, because I see that it's imminent that we need other positions in the squad filled. I would spend the cheap money, seeing how our board's being. I would take the cheap hit with Alderweireld, and then especially after a couple preseason games, now we're getting some opinions changed about Bailly. He looks like a more less risky, hazardous defender if he can stay injury free through a majority of the season. Then I don't see why you don't just get Alderweireld and then work on a bigger target for the defense next year. And then if we're struggling or being cheap about Bruno Fernandes or whoever it may be, Madison, whoever, any player in that caliber, then they should just spend the extra money on a midfielder and then take the cheap option and get Alderweireld. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a 50-50 split, to be honest, Maguire and Toby in the live comments. All right, then, let's move it on. Transfer window, 2.5 weeks left. What business are we going to do, if any?
I mean, it's been disappointing. It's been disappointing as is for me this window, but I think I think Harry Maguire is all but done. That's pretty much, we all know that's a position that's filled. The right wing, just from I think it was his press conference against Leeds. I think he said that Rashford had said he'd play in, or maybe it was Perth, but he said he's like, I was brought up playing in different positions and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna see a lot of experimenting and rotation and formation switches like this year, which some people aren't looking forward to it because he's an inexperienced manager. It's a risk that you take, but not getting a right winger, I don't mind it. Some people still think we do need one because we have two. Lingard can't do it and Mata's too slow, but I think with the way he's trying to implement the team and set them up with the players that we have, we're going to see a lot of fluidity and movement and a lot of good way of playing this season. So I just think a midfielder is really what we need the most, probably.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was going to say two things, really. One, you're right to mention Eric Bailly because there are... you know what I think as well? In relation to Bruno Fernandes, didn't we buy Rojo from Sporting Lisbon? I mean, he's been such a dodgy signing in some ways, and I know he's had good moments, but why can we not just do a swap deal with Sport? Can't we just give him Rojo for and 40 million?
Yeah, we should. I mean, I thought I always had high hopes for Rojo after the fact when he was injured and then he started to come back, and I was like, oh, maybe this guy will find his feet and he'll provide good use. But then just so much time on his contract, not even being a player from being unfit. And if you saw that World Cup, oh my God, it was one of the most atrocious performances I've ever seen from a defender watching football in all my time alive. It was just, I thought we should have sold him right after that World Cup. It was horrific, horrific. I didn't want to see Rojo in a shirt anymore. Rojo to me is almost worse than Phil Jones in a sense. And I know I'm going to get so much stick for that, but you have a guy who's, almost seems like he was injured longer than Phil Jones, and now Phil Jones was trying to make his way back. Obviously, we all know Phil Jones shouldn't be in the team. I'm not blind, you know what I mean? But what Rojo's taken for money and not putting back into the squad with his ability, just being injured and wasting up space, we need to start shipping players on. And Tuan Zebi, just from the way Solskjaer is talking, he's given a lot of good points and giving people confidence and players assurances, or what seems like assurances that they're gonna be somebody for this club. And the tests that they've gone throughout preseason have been pretty good, and they all look like solid, stern players. You know, they look like they're trying to beat each other out for each other's positions, and that's what you should always have in a squad full of quality. You know what I mean? You don't want people just thinking, oh, this guy's not going to replace me. No, I want to see players stepping on each other's toes for that first team, first 11 spot.
Yeah, it was Sporting Lisbon that Rojo came from, and I just think, you know, the issue obviously is we pay ridiculous wages that Sporting Lisbon wouldn't want to pay. But yeah, what I was going to say is with the centre back situation, obviously we are going to sign Harry Maguire. I'm very confident about that. But we've still got Rojo, Bailly, Jones, Smalling, Lindelof, Twansibi. That'd be 7 centre backs, so we've got to clear some space. But what you were saying about the midfield, we're stacked with centre-backs and we desperately need a centre-back who's dominant, which is why we're going to sign Maguire. But the midfield is... midfield's where the game's won and lost, and Pogba's going to stay, hopefully, but beyond him, we have not replaced Herrera, who was our second-best midfielder. If we go into this season with Pogba, Matic, Pereira, McTominay and Fred, we're going to struggle. Unless we get really lucky and Pereira, McTominay and Fred suddenly start playing brilliant top 4 standard, which is a big ask from 3 players who have got all question marks under them. We are going to struggle next season because your midfield's where games are won and lost, and we've already seen when Pogba's the only good midfielder, he gets swamped himself and he can't perform. So we've got to sign a midfielder. I think it's absolutely essential.
Oh yeah, because like in even Fellaini not being a big loss, but losing a player, the position needs to be filled like immediately. You know what I mean? And you gotta have players who can step up and do that. Like I'm worried that we're gonna see Matic teamed up with McTominay in some games, and then probably Fred. And if Fred doesn't find his feet and come good, then Fred's gonna be taking a lot of the stick because Matic is probably gonna be falling all the way back, almost like a center back. Well, I'm assuming Lindelof is going to be the guy driving the ball forward from the back line. And then, you know, if Fred comes good and he's sure of himself and he starts doing better, then you could see him kind of in some way trying to be the new Herrera. But I'm still mixed on whether people think he's a CDM or he's a number 10. You know, we don't know. I'm not positive on it until I see a few more games or like the best out of him, because if he struggles and then we have to put McTominay in the field just to be like the other, like, you know, like B-Tech, like a cheaper or like an easier option than Herrera, then we're definitely going to get ran over through the midfield just like we have been.
Thanks for calling in, Alec. Another great call. I'll speak to you again soon, mate.
Thank you, Mark. Have a good one.
Cheers, pal. I'm just going to try and grab another call in a moment. Remember, if you want to get on the calls on a Monday night, we are going to increase the amount of call-ins that we do, but you can only do it through Discord now because it's a far better platform than Skype ever was, which was a bloody nightmare. You can only get into Discord through the invite, though, and so go through the link in the video description, get yourself in there. It's open 24/7. There are call groups where you can just talk to people about United all around the world, and there are just your normal typing chat groups as well. So we've got you covered on there. Get involved in it, and if you already are in it, just get over there. You know, it's a good platform. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. Gary Oakley makes a good point. He says, I can't believe United want to go into the Premier League season without an established striker. We had one last year and we scored about 60 goals. What do you think? I'll tell you what, Gary, I think that's a fantastic point, and I'm just going to try and pull in another caller and see if they will talk to me about that one as well. Alexander, can you hear me?
Yes, Mark.
How you doing, mate?
How's it going?
It's going good, thanks. You?
All right. Well, let's talk about our midfield.
Okay.
I think we need a defensive midfielder more than we need Bruno. The main reason we're signing Bruno is because we need someone like Pogba to do what Pogba might lack at moments. But what we need most is someone that can cover both what Pogba is doing and what our additional midfielder would be doing. That's what Herrera was doing when Matic was slacking. So I think we need a deep line playmaker to fill that position.
I tell you what, I think that is probably one of the comments of the summer, because I remember saying back in May that the most important position for United was the CDM, and I think I've probably lost sight of it myself. You're absolutely spot on, because if we do bring Bruno Fernandes in, you can play a midfield 3 of Pogba, Bruno Fernandes and a midfielder, but that midfielder needs to be a CDM that's not Matic, because it needs to be somebody who's quick, breaks the ball up, and he's, you know, far better than Matic. I think you're right. I just don't think we're going to cover that position. I don't know about you.
No, I don't. Because I think Fred can play that position, but I don't think Oli trusts him that much. And I think if we don't get Bruno, because Woodward is being so slow, I think Fred can fill in that position beside Pogba. But then who do we have at defensive midfielder? I think Oli only plays McTominay there because he's tall. We need someone much more mobile than McTominay and much more passing reach.
Well, McTominay came out today and said, McTominay came out today, just to interrupt. He said he wants to be a box-to-box midfielder, he's not a centre defensive midfielder. So you're right there. And I think Fred's the only one who really can do it that we've got without buying someone. Hello? Yeah, I can still hear you, mate. Just keep talking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think McTominay was a striker when he was in the youth systems, so that makes more sense. And as for Fred, I think if we are getting Bruno and we're not getting a defensive midfielder, then Fred is the only option I believe that can play there. But if we're trying to build our midfield, I think we should be signing a deep line playmaker. And Partey would have been the best option, but we moved so slow because Atletico lost half their team, so now we can't get him.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think the centre defensive midfield position is a weak position if we play Matic there. I don't think he's been good in pre-season. I thought he was bad last season. He's too slow. He takes too many touches, and our only hope really is that we do put Fred in there, because I don't think we're going to sign anybody. I want to ask you quickly. George Ramos says, "Mark my words, Fred's is going to be here this year. He's going to improve. It's only one bad season. You never know." I hope you're right, George. But if we sell Lukaku, do you think we need to sign a striker, or would you be happy to go with Rashford, Greenwood, Sanchez, Martial? I think we have lost him that time because I can't actually hear him now, which is a shame because I liked Alexander's calls. Alexander, we only knew you for a little bit of time, but it was a very, very good call. What a fantastic call it was. I mean, the CDM position is spot on, and like Archie says, what a good caller. Make sure you're smashing the like on the video tonight. I always say this for the call-ins because people are calling in for the first time, talking in front of thousands of you, and it's not easy for everybody to do that. So please do support your fellow United Stand community when people are coming on. And I thought that call was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, because I said it, many of us said it, the CDM is the most important position. But we've almost been mugged off, haven't we? Because we've forgotten about the CDM position because we're taking so slow to do the other positions we assumed would be done quicker. I really assumed that United were going to sign 2 midfielders this summer. Minimum. I thought we'd definitely sign 2. Fellaini and Herrera have gone. They need replacing. We'll sign 2. At the moment, some people think we won't even sign 1. But the CDM is massively important. And you know what? I'll try and put a positive spin on this. I will say this, because we're going to get Jim Silverbridge in a minute. I would say this, that Matic is too slow, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must know that. And also, he did try Fred there for a few games last season, so at least it's in his head that Fred might be able to play that position. So, yeah, let's go. Anyway, let's get Jim Silverbridge on the phone. A lot of people like him on the call in. He's a very positive guy. He's a glass half full sort of person. So let's see if we can get you on, Jim. Jim, are you there? I am, Mark. I am here. I'm feeling good. Good. That's good to hear, Jim. So let's talk about Manchester United. What are you feeling at the moment with regards to Manchester United? Well, I think that everybody just needs to calm down and focus on the positive vibes that are around Manchester United at the moment. You know, win, lose or draw, we believe in this club and we'll back these players. And we'll support the manager and we'll support the club, win, lose or draw. It doesn't matter. And we don't need to necessarily sign players because we'll still back Ollie and we'll still do good. And there's some good players in that team. Right, Jim. I do think you're talking a bit of bollocks tonight because that is exactly the sort of bullshit line that the Glazers want you to peddle. Win, lose or draw, support the club. Win, lose or draw, back the manager. Win, lose or draw, back the players. Because that just means don't spend any money, we'll keep taking your money and making profit. Well, no, I disagree with you there, Mark, because at the end of the day, we want to be positive. We want to be positive and we want Manchester United to succeed. And I think there's too much negativity around the club at the moment. And if we don't sign players, we still need to back Ollie and get behind him. Look, Jim, You're talking absolute nonsense again. You're making me feel a bit mad because I back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but the issue is, what am I backing him on? What am I backing him on if we don't buy the players? We went into this summer saying we needed 2 midfielders, a centre-back, a right winger and a right back. At the moment, we've got a right back. We haven't actually got a right winger. We haven't got the 2 midfielders and we haven't got the centre-back. So you want me to go into this season with one of the 5 players that we needed, backing the manager who asked for those players who didn't get given them by the board. But you want me to pretend it's all right and start singing Ring a Ring of Roses and we're all happy. Well, no, not that. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do if we don't get those transfers? You're just going to moan all season. You know, people are fed up of your moaning on the negative stand. You've got to be positive and get behind the team. You've got to be positive and get behind the manager and the club. And, you know, it's not their fault. But whose fault is it then, Jim? Because are we not just sheep if we just accept another crap transfer window and just say it's fine, let's go into games against our big rivals and pray? You know, we're meant to be on a rebuild, and I think that's where the frustration comes from. We're meant to be on a rebuild. Well, we are on a rebuild. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take 4 or 5 years, but it shouldn't take 4 or 5 years, Jim. It should take maybe 2 years, because if you're going to do the rebuild, why have we not got, you know, I accept that, you know, buy the centre-back, buy the 2 midfielders, buy the right winger, buy the right back. In one summer, that's achievable. Look at what Atletico Madrid have done. You could get those 5 players in. Next summer, people might think we need another left-back, we need another striker, we need another midfielder, you know. So you've got to start doing the business. And I understand you can't clear out all the deadwood as well straight away, but you can get a bit of momentum. There's no momentum in this transfer window for United at the moment. There's still time. Yes, there's still time, Mark. That's it. There is still time. So do you think we're going to make any signings, Jim? Yes. What if we don't make any signings, Jim? Well, I'll still support the team and be positive and back the club. Yeah, night, Jim. Bye. Positive Jim Silverbridge, you see. That's the positive argument. It even irritates me, even though I'm doing both voices. I can't do the positivity thing because it's flawed. It is absolutely flawed. And anybody who tries to be positive about United's situation at the moment, you're doing it on Lollipop Lane with bloody candy floss clouds, and when it rains, it's raining bloody vodka or whatever your favourite drink is. It's a fantasy world. You cannot go into this season positive if we don't sign at least 2 more players, because we're fucked. We're fooked. We're absolutely fooked if we don't go into this season with a couple of more signings. And the saddest thing is, you can see what Ollie's trying to do. You can see what some of the players are responding to that. But let me tell you this, if there'd been 10 games left last season, if we'd have played another 10 games, we would have finished 8th or 9th. Watford, Leicester, Everton and Wolves had the momentum and they would have pulled us in. What's changed from the end of last season? Oh, a bit of more running, a little bit more tactical now. It's still the same squad I don't trust. It's still the same mentality of players that I don't trust. That squad needed new players to come in, and he hasn't got them at the moment. Wan-Bissaka's a brilliant signing and he's got the right mentality. You can tell he is not going to be a bottler, but we needed 2 or 3 more players like him. Let's see what's going to happen. A little bit of a recap for you then. Bruno Fernandes is flying out to America tonight to play a pre-season game against Liverpool in America. So there is a transfer delay. His president at the airport said, we will not accept anything less than 62 million. We won't be accepting anything less than 62 million euros. And he also said, if Bruno Fernandes leaves, they will be bringing players in. Effectively, Bruno Fernandes is for sale over 62 million euros. United need to pull their finger out their arse and get the deal done. The Leicestershire Evening News are saying that United move for Harry Maguire is not as advanced as some people were saying yesterday. And he may well be playing in another pre-season game tomorrow night. And I will repeat this again. A deal is not done if a player is playing in pre-season games. Because if a deal was done, there is no way in a million years United would let Harry Maguire play in pre-season games for Leicester or Bruno Fernandes for Sporting Lisbon. Because if they get injured, you're thooped. So they're not done. The deals aren't done. Any in the know saying it's done, it's not done because it's not done. Is it? It's not done. Simple as. Simple as. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video. Really good calls tonight. And I would say that you'd be a fool not to subscribe to the channel. bottom right hand corner. Click that button now, subscribe to the channel, get involved with this fantastic community that we've built. Really good calls again tonight. I love the calling. And also smash a like for everyone who did call in. I'll be back again tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the Transfer Daily, of course. We'll go live if there's anything to go live about later on tonight, but I bet there won't be. At some point there will be, but God knows when. Thanks everybody. And Jim Silverbridge has made a comment. Wow, how did you do that? I'm at Alfonsi Beach in Greece, but my agent just called to let me know something is using my name on the United Stand show, and his voice doesn't exactly sound like mine. Have a good summer all. Well, that's the real Jim Silverbridge. Stand up. Anyway, thanks everyone. Really enjoyed the show. I'll speak to you later on.